Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel talking all things HotShot Trucking, and today we are talking about our ELD malfunction and the paperwork that is needed behind it when you're not running on an ELD. But just to explain our situation, our ELD for some reason stopped tracking the mileage. It's still tracking his hours of service, still tracking, making sure that he's within his hours of service, but it's not tracking the mileage. And I am on the IFTA package on KeepTruckin, and it's supposed to track my mileage, so it helps me file my IFTA taxes. But I just caught it recently that for some reason it went from, my husband's driving 9 hours, 10 hours, and then only tracking 75 miles. So that threw up a flag for me. And so what I had to do is contact the KeepTruckin, customer support. They sent it to their engineers and tried to figure out what was going on. And what they emailed me was that my DDTC, which is distance since codes cleared, was maxed out on our truck, and we have a Ford F550 2019, and it says that its maximum value is 65,535 kilometers, and apparently we have traveled more than that. So for some reason the ELD is no longer tracking the correct mileage, and so what they told us to do was go to a mechanic and have the mechanic reset that the DDTC. So we took it to a Ford. Okay, so we took it to Ford, and Ford said there is nothing that we could do to reset it. There's no red flag when they put it on the diagnostic test. There's no red flag throwing up the DDTC. They said they don't know what it is. It's a brand new truck, somewhat new truck, and our Ford F550 just doesn't have anything like that. So we had to go back to KeepTruckin and ask them, the Ford dealership said that there's nothing like that. They don't know what they're talking about. And he had to send another email saying that maybe it's just supposed to be cleared when you do the diagnostic test, clear everything, and it's supposed to just automatically reset after that. So we got to take it to the shop and try that again. So hopefully I can give you an update and find out what was the issue and if it gets reset. But in the meantime, there is a bunch of paperwork. Now this adds more to my job because there's a bunch of paperwork when you don't have an ELD tracking your mileage. There's a bunch of paperwork that needs to go behind it. And one of them is your IVDR. So now we have to go back to, our ELD is electronic. Now we have to go back to our paper form. This is IVDR. It's the individual vehicle driving record or distance record. And then what also your ELD has is a post and pre-inspection check. Okay, so that we have to do paperless just to make sure that all of the paperwork is there. So I will get on the computer and I'm going to show you exactly how to fill this out, what to do when your ELD is not tracking your mileage correctly, or say your ELD completely malfunctions and you have to run off a paper log. I know the FMCSA rules are you can only use paper logs now for 8 consecutive days in a month. So technically I don't know how to go about this because the ELD is tracking my husband's hours, but it's just not tracking the mileage. So I don't know if that 8-day rule applies to us. Help me out. Please leave comments helping me out in this situation. But I am going to show you guys how to fill this out and all the rest of the paperwork that goes behind it. So I'll see you in the computer. Okay, guys, we are back on my computer and we are filling out our IVDR. This is the individual vehicle distance record, and this is for when your ELD malfunctions and you're using a paper log. There is a lot of paperwork that goes behind that. So thank goodness for the ELD that is doing things for us electronically. I can't imagine how before the ELD was introduced, I couldn't imagine how people were doing this for each and every load for so many years. But so for example, and please correct me if I'm wrong, let me know if there's an easier way to do this. This is just me doing my research and this is what I came across and what I have to do. Okay, so this says no gap miles, record all miles the truck is driven on or off duty. And then on each and every state, every time he stopped, every gas station he went to, every state line he crossed, we are calculating all miles. Okay, guys. So he started in Jasper, Florida. That was the last drop off, and then he's beginning to pick up another load. So the origin city for him is Jasper because that's where he dropped off his first load. Now he's on his way to go pick up a second load. Okay, so it looks like here in this particular time he drove from Jasper, Florida to Marietta, Georgia, and then went to Madison, Georgia. Now I calculated these stops because this is where he's stopping in his fuel to gas up for fuel. That's the only time that my husband is stopping, is going from gas station to gas station. Okay, so this is where I'm getting his cities that he stopped from. So in Florida he traveled 18 miles. In Georgia he traveled 258 miles until he got to Madison. Okay, so from Madison, he went to Aiken, South Carolina. He drove 77 miles in Georgia on his way to South Carolina, and 92 miles. And then in South Carolina, he drove 24 miles. So you guys, I know it sounds really confusing, and it kind of is, but this is why it blows my mind that this is what people had to do before. You also have to put the odometer. I don't know what his odometer was at the time, but I can look in the truck and start backtracking his miles. And then also the route that he went. So what highway did he use? So he used I-20, US 78. So it's pretty extensive. So not only do you have to figure out each state, but also for each jurisdiction. So the South Carolina, the southern region is in the second jurisdiction. And then when you start getting up north to Illinois and Missouri and Nebraska, you get into the third jurisdiction. Okay, so I'm breaking down everything. It says fuel purchases only record purchases for this unit. So this is just this truck, and this from pickup. I label when he picked up in Aiken, South Carolina, and then when he dropped off in Nebraska City, Nebraska. Okay, so this is all the gas station stops that he made from point A to point B, and then I listed how many gallons it was, or how much it is per gallon, and then how many gallons he used. Okay, you have to name the merchant, who you bought it from, Circle K, Pilot, Love's, and then the city and state. And then it says total distance per jurisdiction. I did list the total jurisdiction, but then for my records, I need to keep track of how many miles he traveled in each state. So I also listed the state from point A to point B, and it's pretty extensive, guys. So we're doing this for every single load until we get that ELD fixed. But good thing is that the ELD is still tracking his hours of service. So we're doing this for each and every load. So it's pretty tough to keep up with him, but as long as you're organized and stay on top of the paperwork, it won't be too hard in the end when you're trying to file this paperwork away. Okay, let me show you one other thing. If your ELD is just completely malfunctioned and you're using a paper log that you get, you can purchase at any truck stop. They sell paper logs. You also need to include a driver's vehicle inspection report. You need a pre and post check. Okay, so just like your ELD would, and you would just sign off on it, you actually have to do it in paper form now, since your ELD is just malfunctioned and you're trying to get it fixed. Mark all the proper marks, and then sign it. Your driver needs to sign it. So pre and post check. So this is something that you also need. So when you are traveling and doing your loads, make sure that you have your driver's vehicle inspection report. Make sure that you are doing your individual vehicle distance record, and then also filling out your paper log that tracks your hours of service. You would need all three of these things to make sure that you're in compliance. Okay, so I will see you back at the desk. Okay, so we are back at the desk, and as you can see, that's a lot of paperwork. I don't know, I can't imagine how they were doing it before the ELD. I can't imagine trying to track all the miles, especially when you get into like the East Coast and all the states are just so close together, like Maryland, New Jersey, and New York. It's just really kind of crazy how much paperwork it has to go behind it and tracking all the mileage. Because I definitely need to stay in compliance, and I need to make sure that I'm tracking all the mileage correctly, because it definitely correlates to IFTA and your IRP. So this is just something that I have to do. So that's just something that I did my research on what needs to be done when your ELD malfunctions. But definitely let me know if there's something that I'm missing, if I have everything I need. Let's just keep open communication with this, because that's a lot of paperwork, and I just hope that, we're staying in compliance. But I hope that this video has definitely helped you get a head start in the right direction on this issue. But I do want to post right now a clip of the email that they sent me. And if you guys know anything about the DDTC, the distance since code cleared and its maximum value, how to clear it when it comes to the mechanic, because our Ford dealership doesn't really know what I was talking about. So if you guys could help us out, definitely let me know and leave a comment below. But you guys know what to do. Definitely hit like, hit subscribe, and comment below. And thanks for watching.